AI Glotcher. My name is Miroslav Polzer. I'm the Strategic Director of the Climate Change Coalition, and I'm also the Executive Director of AI Glotcher. And Tim Damon is our co-host of today's event. Would you introduce yourself briefly?
Yes, thank you, Miro. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Timothy Damon. I run the Global Youth Development Institute. We're a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering young people, especially from developing countries, as leaders for climate and SDG action. And we have a special focus on UNFCCC process, meaningful youth engagement. You maybe have already seen some of our 10 international youth delegates from many countries around in the proceedings so far. Thank you. Back over to you, Miro.
Thank you very much, Tim. Yeah, so what's the rationale and the background of today's side event? So Action for Climate Empowerment, this is the program within the UNFCCC process, which is about non-state actors' engagement. How can we get all of society engagement in climate action through education, through public awareness raising, public participation, access to information, vocational training, and international cooperation on these matters. And this is really the key to get global community, global family, and the whole Paris Agreement process more effective as we are driving deeper and deeper into the crisis. And the message of today's event is that Action for Climate Empowerment, all of society focus is very important, and data and digital innovation are tools that can help us bring us there to the Action for Climate Empowerment, that really people feel able to take the right actions. And a key initiative that we will present as an example how digital innovation and blockchain technology in particular can contribute to effective climate action is the Digital Art for Climate initiative. But first I would like to say a few words about the Climate Change Coalition. So the Climate Change Coalition is a network of more than 330 organizations which are looking on how to use blockchain technology for multi-stakeholder climate action, empowerment and coordination, and in enhancing climate finance. The organization has been founded in December 2017 in Paris on the fringes of the One Planet Summit of President Macron. And the rationale was that there are so many digital solution providers or digital solution demand holders, and everybody was approaching the secretariat here saying, we have this, we have that, can you advise us or whatever? And then the idea was there needs to be a self-organizing platform of different stakeholders coming together to really look at the systemic approach, ecosystem approach for solutions that go from digital measurement, reporting and verification to carbon markets, digital finance. There are so many areas in which blockchain technology can help, and therefore this network has been set up. And it's growing. Our LinkedIn page has more than 1,000 members, and each week there are coming some more there. And so our co-chair, Tom Baumann, he is unfortunately not able to join us today, sends his best regards. There was 10 days ago, an extreme storm in Canada with winds of 190 kilometers per hour. A tree fell on his house, the car is damaged, and no power, no water for several days, and so he is in a climate crisis tackling on the ground. So I would like to start this side event with this Digital Art for Climate initiative presentation, and then we will hear from our colleagues on some of the aspects of resource mobilization for youth climate action and what the needs are and what the potentials are and how to connect this with the UNFCCC process. So this is the collection of 30 artworks that we have received from organizing an art competition in last year in the run-up to COP27. So we've launched it on the International Youth Day, the 12th of August, and with the aim to deliver inspirational artwork at the COP26, and on the other hand, demonstrating an innovative resource mobilization mechanism. This project has been also funded and enabled by the Austrian Ministry for Climate Action, which has devoted a substantial amount of funding for action for climate empowerment, the ACE project, and it was the task of my organization, IAI, in cooperation with ECOS, the education, communication, and outreach stakeholders, network members, to look how we can create innovative means to mobilize resources for non-party stakeholder climate action, not looking only on the public funding, but how can we encourage and enable citizens and other non-state actors to contribute their resources. This collection has been presented at the UNFCCC Partnership Pavilion at COP26 and in several other occasions. And so I will skip this part and just once again, it's the use of blockchain technology to turn artwork into digital assets, which can be collected and traded. And with these revenues from these trades, from these sales, there can be financed action for climate empowerment and empowerment for other SDGs implementation work. The big news today here is that we have now a functioning marketplace. It's with our partners from Unique Network platform for NFTs on the Polkadot and Kusama blockchain ecosystems, proof of stake, environmental friendly blockchains that Irina will talk about later. So we have now our marketplace. Today we have put the NFTs from our collection on the marketplace, and this will run now through June. The fixed price sales and the award-winning artworks will be auctioned then starting in end of June in the context of the Polkadot Decoded conference in Berlin. So the example how this kind of action for climate empowerment works is that we use 15% of the revenues for the artists. With 35%, we are setting up a youth climate action fund. UN Habitat Youth Program is a key partner, but also the Global Youth Development Institute and other youth organizations. And with the remaining 50%, we are working on institutional and technological infrastructure development programs like Digital Art for Climate, COP27 program management. United Citizens Organization, DAO, set up educational programs, and Glotcha Good Life app, which will support individuals and especially youth in their day-to-day climate action programs. A key element of our solution, which is systemic innovation, and it should really have important relevance, I'm convinced, is a Glotcha registry. It's an individual climate action impact registry that allows people to connect their contribution. For instance, the artwork that has been submitted to our competition and is now being auctioned is an entry. Then the next entry is the purchase of the artwork NFT. And the key element, the game changer, is that these entries are related. So as enabling resources and enabled resources, and NFT technology, nested NFT technology that is also possible with Unique Network NFTs. This will make it possible that we will digitally tell stories of how the different elements of climate action are connected. Young persons' contribution, even if it's small and somewhere specific, can then be connected with the bigger picture. And for those who are buying the NFTs, it will then be also possible to connect their purchase with projects and their impacts, attribution of impact, which is so important to motivate people to give resources. We will have these sales. Our initiative is also one of the finalists of NFT NYC awards. There will be a gala in New York where our representatives are invited as finalists. We are confident that we will get it, the award for the best environmental NFT initiative. We will start the COP27 Digital Art for Climate initiative on the 12th of August, International Youth Day, supported by Conscious Crypto Creators Program Arts Hub. With UN Habitat, we are at the UN headquarters in New York the first 2 weeks of September. We have the exhibit space and the conference for 2 days there. Exhibit for 2 weeks and then conference for 2 days. There will be a Youth Climate Action Empowerment Festival in Austria where we will work on the governance of this Global Youth Climate Action Fund resources and connected with efforts like TIM's Action for Climate Empowerment Marketplace, ACE Marketplace. And then we will have big activities also in Egypt at Sharm el-Sheikh. And with this, I give the floor to Irina.
Thank you, Miroslav. So Unique Network is the NFT infrastructure, non-fungible tokens, meaning representation of any digital assets on the blockchain. We have built the most advanced NFT technology, truly third generation of blockchains, allowing not just to mint JPEGs, but also have revolutionary advanced features for the NFTs, which we are looking forward to see implemented for climate action and empowerment. Our blockchain is proof of stake, so it is named to be by Crypto Research Institute the most sustainable blockchain out of all proof of stake blockchains, minting one NFT on Unique Network. So if we go into the already known Ethereum blockchains, minting one NFT on Ethereum will produce roughly 48 kilograms of CO2, as opposed to Unique Network, where minting one NFT will be equal to 1 human breath. So it is that efficient. Hence, we're confident that minting millions and billions of NFTs will be safe for the environment, and we can truly support ESG's sustainable development goals as well. And at Unique Network, we believe that this technology must scale and achieve mass adoption. Then by doing so, we will really ensure that we are revolutionizing tech space, that we are enabling ownership, inclusion, participation in the technology space, as well as governance and decision-making in relation to such important problem as climate change. So we created an out-of-the-box solution, and it must be available to everyone, and we are proud to present Digital Art for Climate Marketplace that went live today. And we do believe that there is a blue ocean for doing good. So there are many more initiatives that are in your hands. And please do submit your proposals for collaboration with Digital Art for Climate.space, because the marketplace is open to all initiatives. Also, to really feel the power of refungibility, so fractional ownership. We just bought the CryptoPunk, and we're planning to fractionalize it and give 100,000 pieces to the community. So to learn more and put your hands on technology, because it is very important to try NFT, to own NFT, and to really be engaged with the platform, please visit unique.network. You can find our contact details there, follow the quest, and you have the opportunity to own a piece of CryptoPunk, which was transferred from Ethereum for good and is now has become a sustainable digital asset. And I'm very glad to collaborate on this initiative with Miroslav. So our next big milestone will be at NFT NYC, where we hopefully get the award, and then we will present at Polkadot Decoded the biggest event in the Polkadot ecosystem blockchain community, our auction, and many more initiatives. So yes, please do follow us and engage with this beautiful art competition.
Yeah, and if I may briefly say, with this initiative, it's possible to reach people that the UNFCCC process otherwise does not reach. We have our bubble community, which thinks that it's changing the world, but 99% of the rest of the population don't care really much or don't know about. So with we've had a first test, a free airdropped NFT, a global angel NFT, which we have minted in the context of the Milan Youth event last year by the COP26 Italian co-presidency. And there we have had minted 500 NFTs, and we've made a call. People could fill in a form, and there have been 7,000 applications for these free NFTs. And in this sense, we will then also use for COP27 or other bigger events that there would be event NFTs for free, that people start feeling how it is to have an NFT, learning these digital skills, which are also part of the future economy. So there are huge economic opportunities for climate entrepreneurship, microclimate entrepreneurship. And with this, I pass the word to Christina, who is a big player also in educating crypto community about climate and vice versa, and capacity building.
Thank you so much, Miroslav. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. And you mentioned this very important word that is bubble community, and it can be applied to both the climate community and blockchain community. Like in blockchain community, everybody thinks that like NFT, well, of course you know what is NFT, Polkadot, blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all other terms that we operate every day and that are basically nothing for 99% of people that are around. The same applies to climate community, UNFCCC, and like SDGs and ECGs and all the frameworks. Like these are words that to any normal human looks very frightening. So I think my main idea here is that we definitely need to communicate. We need to open our communities to engage each other, to combine forces, and to be less snobbish possible. Because I think that the thing that definitely unites us all, different communities, at least blockchain and climate, is that we have ambitions. We want to make this world better. We may have different ideas, but we definitely want to live in a better society. And in my opinion, it can be applied to any other big community, because in the end we're all humans. We all want to live in a better world. We want to breathe a good air, etc., etc. So like in the end, the ideas that we operate can be understood by anyone, but we need to be able to explain them with words and language of different communities and backgrounds. And this is why I'm so happy to see more and more blockchain projects within the climate action ecosystem, and also climate activists who are interested and come toward blockchain and other big tech. Because in the end, if you see the list of participants at COPs, how many big tech companies do you see? Where is Google? Where is Facebook? They are there, but not as much as we would like them to be. And the only way to communicate is to invite, to explain, to educate, and to see what are the common points that we can work on together. So I'm very happy and honored and proud of my organization, that is Cointelegraph, one of the biggest and largest, biggest and oldest publications in the world dedicated to cryptocurrencies and blockchain. And we are first to be part of this big climate action agenda. There is a long, long path to go and very little time. So I would recommend all the climate action community to learn from blockchain and crypto, Fox because they do not have the same timestamps. They usually, instead of saying, okay, let's discuss, now please all representatives present their opinions and then we'll think about this for the next 30 days and then we'll present the results and conclusions. No, let's do it now. This is what you see, why you see that during the last 3 years, blockchain projects and ecosystem, DeFi, NFTs, ICOs, everything that have developed so quickly because people do not have this reference time that us maybe more traditional and conservative educated people have. Because they are young, mainly. Instead of going through all the bureaucratic procedures, they decided to invest, to mine, and then with this money they want to change the world. So let's learn speed from this community and let's educate ourselves on potentials that new technologies give. Decentralization in general, I think, is a great potential for climate community because this is something that implies not sovereign nations, but rather decentralized global community. This is what climate action is about decentralized involvement of everyone who lives on this earth. So thank you again, and happy to answer your questions about blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and happy to collaborate. Let's unite our efforts. Let's become more global and more decentralized.
Thank you very much, Christina. It's really a pleasure to have you as media partner of the Climate Change Coalition and also as one of the delegates of the Climate Change Coalition and also ambassador for GYDI initiatives. And as been said, climate action, effective climate action is about everyone working more effectively together. And therefore it's so good to have Tim also on the other side in the climate action community, in the ACE community, being open for digital innovation. And please, Tim, educate us a little bit about what ACE is, what the needs in the field are, and what your suggestions and ideas are to the topic.
Yes, thank you, Miro, everyone. I will be the first to admit I am not an expert on the blockchain tech side of things, NFTs and so forth. But where I will consider myself an expert is in action for climate empowerment and how do you really deliver the kind of systemic change that we need to empower young people to deliver the change that we need to see as a whole. And this is where it's very exciting to have this collaboration, and why GYDI is partnering with the event today is that we really want to make this an invitation to the digital innovation community, the tech community, to see how they can better support us in addressing the systemic challenges that we're facing for a very long time, and that we see in this process continue to be talked about, acknowledged. This is a problem. Another text later, this is a problem. But what have we done to fix that problem? And we see that some of these solutions will have to come from not just the government side, but from the non-party stakeholder side. And speaking here about resource mobilization, we see one of the big challenges that is really affecting youth and youth organizations is that they're lacking the financial resources to implement the really amazing ideas or projects that they have. They have all the other ingredients, the passion, they're willing to go after these things even voluntarily to pursue these initiatives. They have the frontline perspectives in their communities that they can bring in terms of what solutions are necessary, but they're not able to find their place or navigate within the existing financial architectures to, for example, get foundation funding or corporate CSR funding, or they may not even be to the stage yet of being incorporated as a legal entity, but we need to figure out how to catalyze and include their action. And this is where we then have developed a concept around this ACE marketplace. And to further contextualize this again, there's one of the long-standing problems is, of course, we haven't seen the public finance mobilizing sufficiently behind this ACE agenda, at least from the international level. You may see large mobilizations in some countries at the national scale, but not as ACE, so to speak. And yet they have invited these private and other sources to provide finance into this agenda. But they hadn't created a mechanism to facilitate that invitation. If you are from those private or other sources, where would you go to fund this work? Decentralization is valuable, but then when you also want to scale up finance, who's credible? Where do you go? What projects? Where? So there's a need to have a centralized space, and there's actually some debate now over whether this should be referred to as a marketplace or a network or a platform. But whatever the terminology would be, we need to be able to connect those who have the really good projects, especially the youth, to implement ACE with these sources of finance and solve both the lack of overall investment, but to help connect the dots from the youth to the sources of finance. It's not enough that just because there's finance out there, but if you can't access it, you don't actually benefit from it, then the change doesn't actually happen. So this could take a number of forms. In its simplest form, it could simply be any kind of medium of exchange where these projects are able to be brought to the attention of the potential funding entities. And then, of course, we still see that they would be able to always be having the autonomy to select among those projects that align with their vision, mission, and values. It's not necessarily a direct transfer platform, although again it could be some of this is being shaped off of the negotiations and what governments may or may not be willing to accept. And of course we as civil society and as innovators should not allow ourselves to be so constrained by the intergovernmental politics, but go after directly what is the need and what do we see as the best systemic way to address it without only relying on the governments to get there. So yes, in the simple variant, you would facilitate that exchange. But again, in a more ambitious model, you would have as well what you might say most simply would be an incubator or a capacity building kind of component. Because again, we mentioned a lot of these youth initiatives may not even have formalized into an NGO. They may need help to be able to figure out, how would we formulate a project proposal? How do I, in my national context, go about? And sometimes it can be expensive, especially if you're a youth in some countries, the legal fees and the bureaucracy you have to go through, potentially corruption and bribes. In some countries, it's not at all easy for civil society and especially youth to be included. So there's a whole collection of these different issues to take into account and barriers to try to be able to overcome. But if there were this global structure that is able to have the right experts, to have people who have the right experience, who are there to support those youth wherever they're coming from and help them to develop their projects to an implementable state, that would go a long way. And then you've linked that now to a financial platform where you would be able to have them benefit from those resources. And one other concern is, again, the transparency of the funds, accountability of the funds, how would they be utilized? And this is perhaps, again, where NFTs or some of these digital tools that, again, I'm not an expert in, could maybe help us to solve that, because I know from speaking with both governments and other stakeholders, they're raising very valid concerns about, yes, but okay, we need to make the finance accessible, but we can't also compromise on accountability, transparency, quantifying and measuring impact and all of those important things. So we do need to balance those concerns while still catalyzing more action. So that again is an overview of the systemic gap and this marketplace, or however we may decide to formulate what to call it. But that really is what we need to overcome, because we can't just keep talking about action for climate empowerment and have more agreements with beautiful lists of recommendations, and then there's no finance for means of implementation, or the technological resources, or the human capital resources, the governance resources to be able to realize it. And so that is the systemic challenge we're all facing, and we as Global Youth Development Institute, continue to aspire to be thematic leaders in that area, and of course are having many of the youth who would be in a position to implement these projects on the ground. I mean, we are working with all of our delegates on ground level ACE related projects and trying to get those to be funded and supported within the existing architecture, but we just are constantly finding that there's so much untapped potential that would be a very smart investment. And so that is our hope then, and with these partnerships with digital innovation community, with all the rest of you in the room, we can bring our heads together and finally break through these roadblocks and get the resource mobilization for youth climate action empowerment we so badly need.
Wonderful, Tim. Yeah, so the world needs a transformative change. And for this, there are several components, several dimensions of innovations that are needed. It is the digital innovation, but it's also social innovation and governance innovation. So we need to partner, and therefore it's so good to have people like Tim and the whole ACE community, ECOS community, also this education, communication, and outreach stakeholder community here in the UNFCCC process, where we are also rooted in, that these social innovators work with digital innovation innovators and also governance innovators. And blockchain technology has also great potentials for governance innovations with DAO. And with the Youth Climate Action Fund governance, we will develop solutions that we will then put also to the service for the ACE marketplace, so that this will function and deliver good results. And this brings us to another partner that we have. It's Doug Reagan from the UN Habitat Youth Program. We have a formal memorandum of understanding signed about collaboration on digital art for climate, on setting up the Youth Climate Action Fund, and also they have great potentials in the field of developing youth SDG Scorecard app for young people, that they can go in their local communities and track progress on SDGs and identify also challenges. That's another topic that we will collaborate. But please, let's listen to Doug Reagan and his message to our event here. With Doug, we are working together already since 2014, and they have contributed very interesting input to Digital Art for Climate COP26 art competition.
Hello, my name is Doug Reagan. I work with UN Habitat here in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm sending this video to strongly support the Digital Art for Climate Change program. We have been a core partner since the beginning. We've just signed an MOU actually with IAAI, and really excited about that because we really feel that this program is critical, especially during this time when there's so many challenges facing the world, whether it be the pandemic, the war, and especially this long-term challenge, this human challenge that we're all faced with, which is climate change. We have played a role in trying to assure that young people, but especially those most marginalized, are included in this program. We're really excited now to see the platform and the launch of the NFT platform, where young people from around the world, can sell digital art around climate change issues. What we've been able to do is work with a group in Mathare. It's an informal settlement here in Kenya, and work with young people there who created an amazing NFT of the mural they did there. Murals are super important in communication in places that may have low literacy rates, where people don't have access to computers. So the murals tells many stories, and this one is great. We have both the video, which we'll post, as well as the NFT of the actual mural itself. We also have lots of other things happening with the Digital Art for Climate. We have the Climate Change Action Fund, which is another exciting initiative that we hope to launch. We are partnering with the city of Lanzarote in Spain, in the Canary Islands, and we will be bringing this Climate Change Action Fund specifically targeting young people, again, specifically in the Global South, because those are the young people that seem to be rising up and really taking on this climate change movement very seriously, but also from their perspective, bringing in all the other issues that climate change impacts, such as poverty, such as just basic survival, which I think is really important and a really important perspective to have. We also have some other great initiatives. We're working on a digital scorecard for the SDGs, so that's an exciting initiative that we'll be rolling out over the next while in partnership with Fondation Botner, and many other things. So again, really wish everyone well, and really looking forward to hearing the outcome of the meetings there. Thank you.
Yes, digital art publisher number 1. So this program that they have is a conscious crypto creators program. They aim to create a whole movement of digital artists that use environmentally sound technologies for addressing social challenges, common good, contributing to common good. There are capacity building workshops that Nicole, please join us here, Nicola. And blockchain and cryptocurrencies, environmental impact of blockchain technology, all about NFTs, becoming a conscious crypto creator, some education, and then also a pledge inviting people to commit to really have a minimized environmental footprint with their work. And there is a 3.5 million artist grants that they are distributing, and artists, creatives are invited to apply and to demonstrate with their initiatives. It can be conventional artwork or other cultural projects that they show how transformative digital art can be. And conscious crypto creators. And this is Digital Art for Climate homepage address. Everyone kindly invited to have a look. And meanwhile, we've been joined also by another ECOS member and also a member of our delegation, IAI here, Nicole Chopin from MES Projects Monitoring and Evaluation of Climate Change Education Program. And please, Nicola, if you would say what role data and digital innovation play in your work and perspectives.
Thanks, Miro. I wasn't actually expecting to contribute much today, so I will just try to be brief. So I'm the project manager for the monitoring and evaluation of climate communication and education project. We are a multi-year international research partnership that we started a couple years ago. We are working to improve the quality and the quantity of action for climate empowerment. So we have a couple different ways that we do that. We are developing indicators to track progress on ACE. One of the big problems with the way that ACE is being implemented right now is there aren't a lot of ways to track progress on it. There's no kind of international data coordination mechanisms. Likewise with the Sustainable Development Goals related to education for sustainable development and climate change education and climate change action, there's not really much of a data infrastructure. So we're trying to develop the data and the partnerships required to effectively figure out how much we're doing and how well we're doing it. The project has a few things on the go for data specifically in terms of innovations. One of the things that we're doing that's pretty neat is we're developing an interactive data platform at the moment, and that's a project that's being done in collaboration with the University of Melbourne's data analytics platform, and they are using a variety of machine learning techniques to kind of analyze some of our data. So at the moment, one of our data sources is these country profiles that we develop where we look at the laws, government activity, and little national level implementation of ACE in a variety of different country contexts. We've produced 20 profiles so far and they're on our website, and the website is MECE.ca, MECCE.ca, and you can check them out. We're publishing another 30 in time for COP in November, and they are teaching a robot how to read our profiles and figure out what sorts of themes are in them. So they can pull out these different themes for different countries, and you can see what the different priorities are and how it's reflected. I can't believe we're teaching robots to read. It's wild. And then you can pull up like word clouds. We'll be able to do some comparisons between country contexts. It's pretty neat stuff. And then another piece of that is going to be related to the indicator data that we're collecting. So you'll be able to kind of pull up indicators, say, related to public awareness in a country on climate change, and then cross it with demographic characteristics in the country, or if it's a high emitting states or that sort of thing. So those are a couple of really interesting things that we have on the go.
Well, congratulations to your great work. And so we have now two thematic blocks. One is ACE, Action for Climate Empowerment, and how this connects with the data and digital innovation topic. We have Digital Art for Climate as one specific initiative example of how data and digital innovation can contribute to resource mobilization for ACE. And we have now a third thematic block that we are very happy to present. It's COP in the Metaverse. This is an initiative which has been developed in the context of the MENA Regional Climate Week in Dubai, end of March, by Tadej Slapnik from Tola Hashnet from Slovenia is the thematic leader on this. And during this regional Climate Week in Dubai, we've had a Blockchain4Climate networking event, and also Christina and Irina have been there, and Tim was also at the Regional Climate Week. And there we've said that the incoming presidencies have a great potential to shine as champions if they would devote attention to digital innovation. Because Dubai, UAE in general, is one of the most dynamic crypto hubs in the world. A lot of potential regulation has already been developed on an accelerated and advanced stage. And so there could be the leadership role of the region, MENA region, and especially UAE in the field of harnessing digital innovation and blockchain technology for climate. And so we've had this regional networking event, and we've identified 5 flagship initiatives. One was Digital Art for Climate. Oh, surprise. I was the organizer of the networking meeting. But one was also this COP in the Metaverse, to make the UNFCCC process more inclusive and with a lower carbon footprint, because it's this UNFCCC process, the COPs, here the future of humanity is being decided, and it's a very exclusive ivory tower. We've seen it in Glasgow how many people have been at the fences with their transparents, wishing you all the best for your important work, and some others more aggressive. But it's really we are deciding about the future of the world, and so many people have something to say. But in this process, there are physical limitations. It's also a carbon footprint minimization aim that we have to follow. And so this COP in the metaverse idea is that there could be more people engaged, more ideas heard if we use digital innovation. And we will now hear Tadej Slapnik presenting this demo of a metaverse. Okay, I will turn it down. If you could.
Hello, my name is Tadej Slapnik, and together with my colleagues Marko Cafnik, Martin Kučer, and Aleš Pevc, partners at the Distiverse project, we will introduce you the pilot of MetaCop that we prepare for today's event in order to first explain future possibilities, future functions of it, and of course to invite you all to take part of its growth. Let me remind you that at UN MENA Climate Week taking place in March 2022 in Dubai, we formed Blockchain4Climate group, where we identified 5 flagship initiatives. One of them was that we will build a MetaCop, so-called COP in Metaverse, with the main goal to enable various stakeholders globally to interact, to cooperate, and to present their activities inside the Metaverse. Of course, with the main goal that we build a strong community until the real COP27 in November this year will actually take place. Now I will ask my colleague Marko Cafnik to present all of us the main functionalities and show us around the place. Marko, please.
Thank you, Tadej. So the main feature in this virtual space is that up to 50 avatars can collaborate at the same time, like we do it now. So we can speak to each other, one-to-one, one-to-many, but at the same time, of course, we can present different visuals, like you see in the background, either graphics, as this logo of MetaCopies, or videos, like we can see this one in the middle. So we can also hear the sound of the video. And if you want, you can also put it full screen. So if you watch from the background, then you can put it full screen. Maybe we can present you that as well. Then, of course, you can choose your own avatar. You can upload your own picture. And we really represent the best version of yourself. Then, of course, you can also chat and exchange some information, some links, some JPEGs maybe, as we are used from Zoom or similar programs. But all these features are the future of Internet. It's called Web 3.0. And in this version of Web 3.0, everything will be virtual, everything will be in 3D. Yeah, that's maybe the basics that are basics. And I hope you can also...
Maybe if you explain also if some visitors would wear VR glasses, how they could also interact maybe with some additional features?
Yes, exactly. Thank you today to reminding me on that. So you can enter to this virtual world via your mobile phones or tablets or laptops or desktop computers. And the most immersive way is to enter via VR headsets. Then you can also, with the touch controls, you can also have your hands in virtual room. You can then handshake, you can point to something with your hands. So the impression of real world is even more immersive.
Okay, thank you, Marco. And to conclude, we will show you now with the end, we will go through the presentations that we prepared in this demo MetaCop, in order, of course, that you get a glimpse of the what we prepared, but actually we will also share with you the link that you will be able, after the presentation, to visit, and we are, of course, inviting you to visit the MetaCop demo that we prepared, and we are ending, of course, with the call to action for you, to invite you to participate and to collaborate with us and to build the strong community and many, many more microverses inside MetaCop. And so, Martin, if you're so kind to show the audience with the camera that you have with your avatar now what we prepared. Thank you a lot. All the best.
Thousands of already existing projects, metaverses, but with the problem when you are trying to find one, how we will do it?
It's demonstrated if you go closer to the screen, you hear the audio.
We'll be working tirelessly to make sure that as many young people as possible will be trained and prepared to meaningfully participate.
And develop their
This
own
is live, yeah, you
skills
can visit
and
it through this link that was shown.
At the end of the day, it's all about being transparent.
Yeah, I don't know why the recording is a little bit... so this is not live, it's a pre-recorded demo, yeah? Yeah.
The solution that participants will be working on will be using a newer technology.
Oh, is it Bond? No, it's not. Looks like a bit.
Almost, yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much, Tadej, Marco, and Martin, for this demonstration of what you have prepared. And it is also from our experience that we've seen we wanted, for instance, last year to present digital art for climate at the COP26. So we thought it was NFT hype. We thought we would easily raise the necessary funding. But then, so we applied for a space as IAI is accredited observer organization. We've even been granted a space. We asked for 100 square meter. And then only 1 square meter, only with a power supply socket costs £700 exclusive value-added tax, so 820 per square meter, and then we've had 100, so it was already quite high. And then we've got end of August already an advance payment request for another £150,000 for the construction. And it was still not without any interior. And so there's really economic limitation, access limitation. Only very rich institutions can afford this. Also, countries cannot afford really to have a pavilion there. And therefore, this kind of virtual pavilion, COP in the metaverse, would open up the space. It would be very cheap to have pavilions there and really providing access to many more people than can go and meaningfully go also with a view on the carbon footprint to COPs. So this, I think, is a valuable initiative as well, and we will see whether the incoming presidencies would be ready to partner with us. My organization now has somehow learned, and we are not planning to request a pavilion space again, but we have partnerships, for instance, with the Environmental Justice Alliance. Deb Morrison is also on our delegation. They have the funding secured, they are going for it, and they said we could have there also some kind of virtual participation, COP in the metaverse, demonstrations live there, and some kind kind of interface and gate between the different worlds, which would be then used also by their members, showing how the membership of the environmental justice movement can be virtually at the COP. And also the Youth Pavilion is a big initiative now for the next COP, and we will also plan to partner with them, having some opportunities that we will receive in terms of space and opportunities that we will share in terms of tech support and participation opportunities that this participation will enable. Yeah, and this is from our side, our presentations of our work, and now it's the opportunity for the audience to shine and also to ask questions or give comments. We have a Climate Change Coalition founding member, Jürgen, also with us, Climate Ledger Initiative. Alex was a very important pioneer in the UNFCCC as regards opening up for this topic of a blockchain for climate, or anybody else who, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's Sandra. I work for GIZ, so I'm a bit critical and I'm also very interested. So I have a bit of both sides. So thanks for your presentations. What struck me, so the VR space is certainly an interesting and intriguing space. I work for a development corporation, though. You know, in the limits in developing countries are, as you're all nodding your heads, so I don't need to explain that. I thought so. Okay, you're well aware. So that's clearly a bit of a barrier, but yeah, also that, yeah, I wanted to ask, how do you envision Google or Facebook? You know, they could play in this quotation climate bubble, as you have phrased it. What ideas do you have? How do you envisage their role? Also, this is the second part of the question, how would you apply this in a developing country context where accessibility and affordability is a topic? There's not only there, also, you know, like in certain countries or data protection issues and all of this. Yep, thanks for that. Thanks for your views.
Would you like to start with Facebook and Google? Because I am of a different opinion. Okay, but perhaps first another question.
Thanks very much. I'm also GIZ, Vanessa, also a colleague of Sandra. Vanessa. Thank you very much for the inspiring and really refreshing presentations. I think it's also nice to have, because there's a lot of presentations on policies, and so it's quite refreshing also to have something technical and quite hands-on. My partner is actually working in IT, and he's quite critical of crypto, NFT, blockchain art, because they actually need a lot of energy to produce these, a lot of electricity to produce these images. So how would you argue this is climate friendly in terms of, because if you need a lot of electricity, obviously, you know, we're talking here about mitigation and how to reduce emissions. But if we need a lot of energy to produce these blockchain digital art, this can also actually be counterproductive. So just to understand maybe more, I don't know much about it at all. It's out of interest. Thank you.
So, Irina, would you start with the environmental footprint?
Yes, so to answer your question on electricity consumption, Polkadot, majority of proof-of-stake blockchain, by architecture, they enable to use less computational power than proof-of-work blockchains. So in our network particularly, you can find, so it's an architecture really of the network. It is distributed, and the messaging in the blockchain happens through the nodes. So different computers connect together. So in our chain, we just need less nodes to execute computation because the network is that efficient. I unfortunately don't have a slide, but usually in my longer presentation I show the architecture of the network. But already there are numerous studies. I recommend to read Crypto Research Institute report of January 2022 on proof-of-stake blockchains. It goes into details. It compares different blockchains, and actually the research was funded by Ethereum Foundation. So Ethereum community, Bitcoin community are aware of the electricity consumption proof of work networks produce. Hence, there is a lot of research and development in this space, and we are confident with all the research backing us up that we do not consume more electricity than, we definitely do not consume more electricity than traditional, legacy financial system. So this is another presentation I just delivered in Amsterdam because there is a huge problem with the opacity of traditional financial system. There is no clear numbers. They do not communicate clearly and transparently how much it costs to run all the infrastructure that supports banking systems, how much CO2 produces the entire financial ecosystem. As opposite to that, blockchain is transparent, so you can track all transactions. You can track every computer that supports nodes and runs infrastructure and computation. So if we look at the bigger picture, we'll see that actually blockchain, even proof of work blockchain, pollutes way less than conventional financial system. Or maybe it doesn't, because some banks, I, for example, found the data from BBVA Bank that claims to be already carbon neutral. But we don't have any way to prove that, because there is no data available. And it's not transparent, it's very difficult to track. So it's a bigger question to the entire technology system, payment system, credit cards, payments. But what we have and what we can measure, the data available online shows us that the blockchain industry is way, way less pollutant and less energy consuming than legacy financial system.
Yeah, thank you. And the number is clear, really. It's in the order of 100,000 times less this proof of stake blockchains compared to proof of work. It's okay, Jürgen.
Thank you, and thank you for hosting this very nice event here. It's good to see you all. As I mentioned, I just wanted briefly to respond to the statement you just made. I don't think that this would be true if the entire existing financial system would be run on blockchain, right? You are saying the financial IT system that we have now compared to the blockchains that we have now, that the blockchains are responsible for less emissions, perhaps, right?
Well, there are different numbers, right? It depends what we're looking at. Are we looking at the entire infrastructure? Are we just looking at the ways how we send payments via blockchain or via other networks? That's one element. Or if we're looking at the entire, say, building, because even in blockchain industry, lots of companies work decentralized, don't have headquarters, don't use physical infrastructure except the computation network to run transactions. So it's really tricky, isn't it, this question? Because it depends how we measure.
Yeah, I just want to mention, I mean, we started the Climate Ledger Initiative like 4 years ago, like also
pioneers.
With the, I mean, we were that same. There were a lot of initial coin offerings, and most of them run flat. Yeah. I don't know of any company which still exists out of that. There must be some, but most died. So I think it's important also to learn something. And at that point in time, everybody said the energy use issue with blockchain that will be solved in 1 year, in 3 months, and it took much longer. Yeah. I'm convinced it will come now because I see some new systems. You're one probably, but also others that actually manage to go away from the proof of work. Ethereum, they tell since years that
yes, exactly. It's unacceptable.
It never happens.
Yeah.
So I think, and the use of electricity is of course important point. But I just wanted to comment that. I just wanted to maybe also explain what use case we are doing, because a lot of this is on actually generating more funds for climate action, which is also an important part. We have seen the blooming of blockchain tokenized carbon, which has been a huge thing, and the problem there was that the quality of the units was very much substandard, so it didn't really help. But still, we see quite interesting applications. One of that is a cook stove project we are supporting in India with their climate fund, where they use sensors on the cook stoves, and with that they have very accurate measurement of cooking use data, and that is then fed to a blockchain, and then they also have a platform to market that then directly to users of these units, which is quite a nice system. It has also very high sustainable development benefits because they closely work with the women there, and this increases their household income and helps them a lot. So really a nice project where the technology works well, but there the problem is it is still quite expensive. And what I learned is the important thing is you cannot take tech and go somewhere and say, yeah, let's do this great projects. You always need a local group of stakeholders, NGO, as you do too, right? People who know what they are doing there. They all already did cook stove projects, but then we help them to digitize that. And the second example is index insurance in Kenya with EDRISK. There, the farmers. These are smallholder farmers, and they are, of course, subject to high drought risks in the country. And with each pack of seeds that they buy, they buy also they can buy a drought insurance, which they activate through a simple cell phone, right? You just type it, and then they have that insurance, and then we have a satellite-based system which checks if there is a drought event in their, say, pixel. If that event is triggered, the farmer gets directly, without intermediaries, a payout, which then helps him or her to buy new seeds or to mitigate the drought impact. And that's also a blockchain-based system, and I think there are now like 10,000 farms. So it's really growing nicely now, and I think that's a very interesting approach. Again, they are working with Acre Africa, NGO, which is there since 10 years plus, so lots of local knowledge, and I think that's the magic potion for success in these project types. And you can find that if you are interested on our website of the Climate Ledger Initiative. We have these navigating reports we do every year, which demonstrate the states and trends in using blockchain or digital tools for climate action.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing this use cases. It's really your work that you're doing with these annual reports. It's really very valuable, because one can talk abstract terms about what blockchain technology can do, but showing examples where it really delivered good results, this is then inspiring others to look for this kind of solutions. I would like to briefly respond also to the question of the proof of work, like Ethereum. This in 3 months we will shift to Ethereum 2.0. I'm getting very angry when I hear this, because I hear it also since 3-4 years. And I really think if they believe it, then they should commit that each month they are not delivering, they are paying a fine somehow. I don't know how they will do it in the decentralized system, but they should pay a fine. I really get angry about this, because the users are also thinking, sure, I will use it because it will come. So people are lying to one another, and these are energy monsters.
Isn't it the same about other actors? Like,
probably true, yeah, but I'm the one who is advocating blockchain for climate, and then I hear you have these,
I mean, even climate
things.
actors, like, it's not always delivered in time. Huh?
That's also
By the way,
true.
Ethereum is one of the successful examples of ICOs. Just.
Yeah, sure.
The problem here, we're talking about paradigm shift. We're shifting to Web3. And of course, crypto community, cryptocurrencies, blockchain receives a lot of criticism, because legacy systems are experiencing this change that they're not unable to catch up with. They're unable to deliver on transparency, on governance, and blockchain is revolutionizing not only tech space, but also impact initiatives, art space, music, literature, Amazon. So we're talking about the silos in which Web2 platforms are also trapping our data. And the important thing that Web3 is delivering on is breaking this silos, is introducing token economy, is giving power back to the people. And of course, there will be thunders and there will be bad press about blockchain community. But I guess it's a normal process of transition, and we are ready to respond with action, actually, to deliver on platforms and technologies that are.
But I think it's important also not to speak of the blockchain community, because there are those who are using proof of work and those who are using proof of stake.
As in any community, like in the end, it's not about blockchain or non-blockchain, but like it's about humans. And how many really mindful climate activists do you know? I mean, I'm pretty sure that even those people who discuss climate action at official meetings then go home and do not think about their own impact, or like take the most cheap flight because, well, it's cheap. So it's all about education and social.
Maybe just to mention, if you work for UNFCCC, your contract says you have to take the cheapest flight. And we had
no matter what the environmental footprint is.
hard to be able to buy train tickets, which are more expensive often. But I would have, if you allow another question to the panel regarding the crypto markets, because we saw quite a boom, right, in the last few years. The value went up, and with some of our use cases that used Ethereum, this caused problems because
transaction fees. Yeah.
Exactly, it became incredibly expensive for people in Chile or Kenya. That doesn't make sense. So they then tried to change the system. On the other hand, it reinforced the whole blockchain paradigm, so to speak. And now we see this long down. We don't know if this will be like that for a long time. But what do you see? Because blockchain also gets a bit out of fashion, and in my view, there are some very good examples of applications, including, for instance, registry systems in some countries where the governmental setting is weaker, but not, of course, a lot of things can be done much better and cheaper with conventional databases. But how do you see this the development of going up, going down, and its impact on using blockchain as a service technology?
If I may come, exactly that question there. One is how to bring this big corporation into this space, it's a question, because blockchain is about decentralization and power to the people. So it's a different world. Or do you think they?
No, I agree. Like, what is your identity in this decentralized world? You do not depend on being part of any country, and so in the end, of course, you live in different environments. It can be developed to developing countries, but at least you do not depend on like governments' roadmaps in terms of climate, in terms of any economic activity, and you can actually participate in a decentralized ecosystem and make a difference when you wouldn't be able to do it through the hierarchy of your own country. So this is, I think, a great opportunity that decentralized technology gives to all of us, compared to Web 2 as well. It's like platforms that enable people as active creators, active participants, active voters, instead of just those who are either imposed or they are just spectators, and this also is not a good thing that we see in some countries.
Yeah.
Especially.
And another element of your question was how we deal with those who don't have access to internet, access to technology. And this is a very important systemic question. And it's really, if we want to have all of society engagement also with digital tools, we have to make sure that there are the necessary technological resources provided to all relevant stakeholders. And this is digital public goods question also. It's something that everybody is benefiting, but nobody is really investing in this. And here also blockchain technology should help to change it. And we have big plans with our Global Challenges Action Empowerment Consortium, GLOCHA, where we are saying we have at the Glasgow Climate Summit, we have announced that we are forming the United Citizens Organization for Action for Climate Empowerment, DAO, and that this structure will mobilize the resources for building the institutional and technological infrastructure so that everyone, everywhere will be empowered to take climate action. And there are two slogans that we have. One is that there should be in everyone's mobile device an individual climate action dashboard app, some kind of good life app helping people to lead a climate righteous life in light of the climate crisis. And the second element is there should be in every city and every local community GLOCHA center, a physical space, a real space where people can come together, getting access to the internet, access to knowledge, access to financial resources, and also to an enabling ecosystem. And here also digital communities can be helpful. We can make a certain mechanism for accreditation of this kind of communities, and then channeling funding from our Digital Art for Climate NFT sales or other can be even digital bonds, instruments, or whatever. If we have this globally enabled local communities, then we can also more confidently channel resources there, because there are huge climate entrepreneurship business potentials in this energy transition. It's actually the biggest economic opportunity in human history if we do it right. And but it is about technological innovation accompanied, complemented with social innovation, and that's also what Jürgen said. You need to have the local player somehow enabled and building the capacity that they are our partners. Each, even the smallest contribution to addressing the climate crisis is valuable, and we have to bring it, make the necessary connection, and digital innovation and data infrastructure are important pathways towards this. I hope I was not too long. Any other answers to these questions that have been posed?
Well, I just would like to add that, of course, when we talk about this, even like metaversal COP, of course, those 3 billion people who do not have access online definitely do not have access online. This is a big problem. What blockchain allows those who hop on this online train is that even if they are unbanked because of lack of banking institutions in their country, through internet, like so many options open to them that unfortunately are not possible through like traditional financial institutions to some extent. So so in the end, it's sometimes bringing technology that even maybe energy consuming actually can bring more opportunities to solve climate dilemma as well, because when people are have access to information and to funds, this is when real action starts. And well, till we do not solve socioeconomic problems, we will never engage the whole global community for climate action. And this is where blockchain power is laying. It's access to financial services that is the basis of economic
very important.
prosperity.
Yeah, and here I have also an example with Digital Art for Climate. We've had this special recognition award for the graffiti mothers in the Matara informal settlement in Nairobi, and we've received the award money from Unique Network in USDT. I have then connected with our UN Habitat partner. He gave us the phone number of these people there, and with M-Pesa, on an exchange, we've turned this USDT into money that flows to the person's handy in Kenya. And it was for me also a very interesting experience. Within minutes, I could transfer money from somewhere to one's mobile device, and he can act this. So this connection between the individual, which has nothing to do with global community, and with global resources, that it can actually flow to the individual there. It was, for me, fascinating. No? But there was a raised hand, if you could.
Yes, thank you. My name is Lennart, also from GYZ.
Great.
Seems like GYZ is very interesting in using new technologies. I also enjoyed the presentation to learn about more how to use these technologies for sustainable development, because so far I also thought it more like private investments and play around. My question is to the ACE marketplace. If I understood correct, you so far you concentrate to match private and civil driven projects to finance, to close this climate finance gap, which is great. But also cities and local communities, especially in the global south, lack financing and access to finance markets. Are you also aiming to expand to also to finance urban development projects or climate projects from cities and local governments?
Yes, thank you. That's an interesting question, and I think the target of the marketplace is action for climate empowerment. But what we see is that the 6 elements of ACE are a critical means of implementation for pretty much any aspect of climate action, whether that's mitigation actions, adaptation actions. So I think the common thread would be for those communities or municipalities or groups, whoever, that they would have a utilization of at least one of the elements of ACE, that they're somehow contributing to that work. But of course, they can be channelizing that toward any specific project or purpose or activity. So for example, you might want to take an adaptation focus in a local community where you're going to help improve the resilience of that community by giving them access to more information about how climatic changes will affect them or what possible solutions will be. Maybe you're going to help them to then participate as a marginalized community into broader processes of governance in their area that will help them to also support their adaptation efforts, because you're then drawing upon public participation or awareness or access to information or training or education, any of those ACE elements. I could see that as something that would be a relevant project because there's that linkage. But if something is being done in complete isolation or with disregard for any of those elements, then well, I think they're doing the project incorrectly, but that would probably be something less in line with what we're trying to specifically see funded from the ACE marketplace or whatever that platform would look like. So I think it's a flexible mechanism with a wide range of application. So, thank you.
And if I may add, in our climate change coalition, we have also a strong team on digital finance. Alexei Shadrin from Evercity is leading it. Evercity is now registered in Berlin, and he has solutions for sustainability-linked bonds, so really impact data-linked blockchain-based bonds, also using Polkadot ecosystem. And the other, so it's a very high potential area, this local communities, municipalities, cities-based finance. And there's also with UN Habitat Youth Program, we've been in New York recently, and UN Habitat has signed with the UN Capital Development Fund a special local SDG finance facility. And so there we will also try to come in with our digital solutions, but local level finance, connecting local communities and their climate action with global financial resources, that's extremely high potential.
Yeah, and I would like to also answer the question about congestion fees and Ethereum
yes, please,
and gas fees on the platform, which is an issue. And I would like to compare developments in the tech space with the developments in the energy sector. We have fossil fuels, and now we're moving towards clean energy solutions. Same thing, we as a society discovered how to use oil and gas to power our cars, warm our houses, and then we realize that is not working and is actually damaging the environment. So we have to quickly find another solution and use clean energy to be sustainable. Same happened in the technological space. We invented Bitcoin, and it proved to be secure, transparent, innovative way to use financial systems. And we used to refer to crypto space, blockchain space as cryptocurrencies. Then NFTs appeared. And now we can refer to the space as to crypto assets. So we can actually now have digital assets on the blockchain. Co-founder of Ethereum is Dr. Gavin Wood, and he is the founder of Polkadot. He worked on Ethereum core infrastructure, and he discovered that it has limitations in terms of scalability, transaction fees, etc. So he moved on, and he came up with the solution to solve this problem, which is now a network of parachains on Polkadot. And there are many different applications, including unique network, many different parachains that can be specific. They can support decentralized finance or NFTs or any other use cases. And it is scalable. Transaction fees on our network are minimal, 0.0013 cents per transaction currently. So it's really, we're not talking here about not even $1. So this really helps us scale and transact as many NFTs or other types of assets as we would like to. So we are making progress as a community in general, right? In the DeFi, in blockchain, in NFT space, and the speed of innovation in this space is also absolutely fascinating. So we can't even imagine what would be available on the market in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6, and 1 year, and so on. And the reason for that is actually open source. When you have open source ecosystem, and when you allow everybody to access your technology and to innovate on top of it, this is what makes the difference. And at Unique Network, we also have open code. Our white label marketplace is out there on GitHub. It can be used by anybody, modified, and suit your business solution, your impact solution. So we need to all get together. That's the message. We need to all receive a feedback from climate community on how should technology be used to power climate action, because tech people think in the tech solution to make them effective and efficient. But how to solve these problems, how to apply this technology to business models, it's in the hands of businesses, organizations, and what will help us get together and build a better world is utility plus creativity. So we should all have the dialogue and be in a space like today, or be in the metaverse, or in any other place or space that is inclusive and that actually establish a dialogue globally. Include every people in the global south, in the north, in developed countries, in developing countries, then we will assure that everybody is heard and we are really taking the right action, the important, necessary, priority, emergency, and we're solving current problems.
These were already wonderful closing remarks. May I ask also the other panelists if you would like to say last sentence or two, and then we will have to finish. Nicola.
I'd just like to thank you for including me on this panel today.
It's a pleasure having you.
Yes, thanks, and and including me in your delegation. And I learned a lot about crypto. So
Good. Yeah, it's a learning process for all of us. Irina.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us, and please do check Digital Art for Climate. If you have any ideas to share, initiatives you would like to transform into NFT, please do reach out to Miroslav, and thank you, Miroslav, for bringing us all together and organizing this wonderful delegation. And I'm very honored to be contributing to such an important initiative.
And really, thanks to Irina. I used to say Irina is the mother of the Digital Art for Climate initiative, because once I've seen her on one of a webinar, I thought this is the person I could work with, and then really step by step you helped us grow our solution network, and we've came a long way, and Unique is a very good partner, really trustworthy partner. And Tim is also a very trustworthy partner. Your closing remarks.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining. If you're sticking around for the remainder of the SB or you're tuning in online, I'll just give a plug for our delegation is doing a daily press briefing where our young delegates are reporting out on various topics that they're following and so forth. That's at 5 p.m. Bonn time to 5:30 in Nairobi 4 and available online streamed. And yeah, we're here to continue building these partnerships and building the systemic change, so come and connect.
Bravo.
Well, I just wanted to say that blockchain community is open for climate community, and if you want to learn more about blockchain, there are different platforms. I would definitely recommend mine because, well, I'm working on it days and nights, cointelegraph.com. We operate in over 10 languages, and the only way to move forward is together, so let's combine our efforts.
Very beautiful, and thanks for being such a wonderful bridge builder between the communities with your expertise in political science or what you have studied before, and now and your passion for the climate issue. Happy to have you as a media partner of Climate Change Coalition and the Glotcher ambassador. Yeah, and with this we close. I hope we will meet again somewhere, sometime, and wishing you good luck in your efforts to save the planet. We have, every one of us has to take more ambitious action, be more innovative. Business as usual is no option.